Right now, we'd like to sing a song that was written by Terrie Frankel
and Fred Shep.
We love you guys, and we love this song.
Here's to you, red, white, and blue. Here's to all the heroes.
Here's to you. We pledge our allegiance every day to you. Here's to you. Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue, we believe in you. Honoring all the fallen.
Star-spangled banner forever wave
o'er the land of the free. The free.
Here's to you, red, white, and blue.
You still stand for freedom with all that you've been through. We pledge our allegiance every day to you. Here's to you. Red, white, and blue.
We honor all of you veterans today.
And for your service to our wonderful country. Still stand for freedom with all that you've been through.
We
pledge our allegiance every day
to you.
Here's to you. Red, white, and blue. America, America. America!
Good morning. My name is Shondra Jepperson, and welcome to the Sedona Heritage Museum's 16th Annual Veterans Day Tribute. Did you know that it's the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage? So today in our program, we have two very special female veterans that you'll be hearing from. Before we start, let's welcome the President of the Board of Trustees, Janine Trevelyan.
On behalf of the board and members of the Sedona Historical Society and Sedona Heritage Museum, welcome to Sedona's annual tribute to our veterans at a Veterans Day. This is the 16th year that the museum has hosted this event, and we're very proud that this has become the city's official Veterans Day celebration. This year, unfortunately, is not our usual format, but in deference to our veterans and our citizens' health and safety, we've decided to go another way this year. But we are proud that we are continuing our tradition of honoring those who have served our country with this recorded program this year, and we're going to include many of the moments and pieces of entertainment that you are used to seeing at our Veterans Day tributes. This type of event does not happen without a lot of people and a lot of partners. We have some assistance this year from several people that I'd like to name now, including the City of Sedona, entertainment by Tom and Shondra, Becky and Dick Cruz, Herb and Joan Miller, Michelle Zahner, Bill and Fran Levengood, Luann Scott, Victoria and Mike Clark, and Monty and Sheila Wymore. Thank you to each of those individuals and entities for their support. To all the veterans or active or reserve military in our viewing audience today, we want to take this moment to thank you for your service. We hope that any of you who are veterans and might be in need of any kinds of assistance, whether it be health care, mental health care, pet care, transportation, food, or housing, we want to offer you some contacts where you might be able to reach out for services. Let's suggest people like the Veterans of Foreign Wars, American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, Vietnam Veterans of America, and even the social worker at the local Veterans Administration office can offer you services and assistance. We've also been informed that there's an organization called Be Connected at beconnectedaz.org. Please reach out to these entities. They want to work with you and they're waiting for your call. I want to just mention before we move on that for the month of November, the Sedona Heritage Museum is hosting a special exhibit focusing on the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. That exhibit shows some items and memorabilia and photographs from the Battle of Iwo Jima, specifically saved and preserved and now loaned for this display by service members who were there for that battle. In conclusion, let me just take a moment to recognize our dedicated committee of volunteers who are making this program possible for you to see today. They are Shondra Jepperson, Bill Levengood, Becky Cruz, Michelle Zahner, and special assistance today from Adam Cook, our cinematographer. Once again, the Sedona Heritage Museum is extremely proud to host this annual community event, even if this year it's virtual. Now, please enjoy the special show we put together for you. Take care, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you in person next year. Shondra, take it away.
Now, wherever you are, please stand and join Tom Jefferson as he sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's always my pleasure to introduce this individual. Please welcome the Mayor of the City of Sedona, Sandy Moriarty.
Good morning and welcome to the Veterans Day celebration, so graciously hosted by the Sedona Heritage Museum. This year, as with most events, we are virtual rather than in person due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But it's always an honor and a privilege to speak to you on this day that honors our veterans and their families. There truly are not enough words anyone can say to properly thank veterans for their service, and their families who, in their own way, served along with them from a distance. Your willingness to serve to protect the freedoms we all enjoy today is invaluable, and we're so glad you came home to us. Today, the pandemic brings unique circumstances for veterans. We often refer to the fight against the coronavirus as being similar to a wartime experience, but for those of us who haven't served, we must remain aware of what this crisis is like for those who have served, as it harkens back to those actual wartime experiences, especially for those who suffered PTSD. But in this battle against COVID-19, the support from a band of brothers or comrades who shared the burdens you carried, that unit cohesion so critical to survival in war, is hindered by the necessity of physical distancing. In addition, many veterans returned with other injuries, making them more vulnerable to the virus. They are sometimes economically disadvantaged, and they're often over 65. In these divided times, I hope we can also learn from the courage, resilience, and expressions of camaraderie of our veterans. For those who are veterans in need of assistance or know of someone who is, the VA offers a wide range of services related to COVID and non-COVID health issues. Locally, the Cottonwood VA Clinic at 501 South Willard is open weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and in Prescott, the VA Medical Center offers full hospital facilities and services. But please call for an appointment at either. The website beconnectedaz.org, that's beconnectedaz.org, is a wonderful source of information and resources for veterans, both COVID and non-COVID related. So please go there to find help. Remember, there is always help and there is always hope. My hope is always for peace and for finding ways to preserve it that do not involve war. Estimates are that the world has experienced far more years of war than of peace, so history is not on the side of peace. Nevertheless, I continue to hope for it. May peace be with you. Thank you.
Let's take a moment of silence as we recognize the branches of our United States Armed Forces. Now we're in for a real treat. We're going to hear from Terrie Frankel, Honorary Commander 944 Aeromedical Staging Squadron, Luke Air Force Base, who also toured performing in USO shows throughout Vietnam during the Tet Offensive.
I'm Terrie Frankel. I was in Vietnam in 1968 with USO, with my twin sister, and a troop from Chicago. The Chicago Sun-Times had put an ad in the paper. They wanted an accordionist for a Vietnam tour. And my father wrote to the Sun-Times and said, I have 2 accordionists, twins. So before we knew it, we were at downtown USO entertaining and auditioning for our USO troop. And within a month, we were on a World Airways jet to Vietnam. The reason they wanted an accordionist is our troop, which consisted of Joey Bishop, Tippi Hedren from the Byrds, Sig Sakowitz, a comedian. We could go out in the boonies and we didn't need electricity. So Bob Hope had a big production. He'd have electricity and a lot of people, us. We would perform in the boonies with to a lot of servicemen who would gather with their shirts off and a makeshift helicopter pad, and we would sing folk songs and just start play our accordions, and everybody loved it, and they were so grateful to see a taste of home. One time, our troop actually never spent the night outside of Saigon. We stayed at the Saigon Hilton. So we were always ushered back in time before dark. Well, this one time we were out in the boonies, and they said, well, why don't you just stay into our tents? So we did, and about 3 a.m, we were rousted up, and they said they spotted VC in the area, Viet Cong. So they rushed us onto the Hueys, popped out the doors, and shot out into the night sky as they took us back to our hotel. It was a very harrowing night, and we are so grateful to all of the men and women who served in Vietnam, and those particularly who kept us safe. And to this day, I have a profound appreciation for all of our servicemen and women. But I would like to say to you, Ngoy, Sheshe, Doje. Those are 3 ways to say thank you in both Cantonese and Mandarin. And I would like to tell you how honored I am to say thank you to all of you servicemen, servicewomen, veterans who have served so brilliantly. And just know that when you put on that uniform and you sign your name on the dotted line, you are putting your lives on the line for us. So we thank you. Thank you for all that you give to keep us safe. You're appreciated.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you Colonel Judith Patton, United States Air Force Reserve, retired.
Hi, I'm Judith Patton, and I'm a female who served in the United States Air Force Reserve for 32 years. I had a personal motto that I used to use because I knew I enlisted when I was 29 years old, and most of the folks who were my colleagues were much younger. So I just developed this personal motto that said, get a seat at the table, be relevant, or get the heck out of there. Go home. And I refused to go home. I have served all over the globe in the Gulf War, the Afghanistan War, and I can remember back when I was deployed many times. I was activated after 9/11. And I was deployed for several other times. And I can remember serving during when the USS Cole, a Navy destroyer, was hit. It was attacked, it was bombed in Yemen, and it killed 17 sailors and wounded so many people. And we were out there making sure the sick and wounded got where they needed to be. I can remember the Mosul dining hall bombing in Iraq, where it was attacked and 14 U.S. soldiers were killed, many other people were killed, and many wounded. And again, we were out there making sure those sick and wounded got the care they needed and got where they needed to be. I'll never forget that day. It was December 21st, 2004. The military really has amazing careers. And I can remember when I took my first command, I had a young airman who was showing me around the base. Actually, I was thinking that I was a young airman at one time. Well, maybe not young, but I was an airman at one time. And he got a ladder for me and helped me climb up the long ladder to get near the cockpit of an F-16. And he was putting bombs on the F-16. He had a big bomb rack he was using. And I kept thinking, wow, that seems like a dangerous job. But he was so enthusiastic. And he couldn't wait to tell me all about it, which I barely understood, but I was enthusiastic too. And I said to him, you're so enthusiastic about your job. What makes you so happy? And he just looked at me and said, are you kidding? Where else could a 19-year-old have so much responsibility? Veterans Day is especially important to me because we honor all veterans, those who have served in the past, those who might not be with us anymore, those who are still serving. So I'd like to give a special shout out to all my colleagues, all the men and women who are still serving, and also to their families, because when we serve, you serve. And we can't do it without your support. And thank you. A special shout out to my husband, John Skineski, who is a decorated Vietnam War veteran, who has helped me a lot through my career. I am humbled to stand with him and serve in the military. So God bless all of you, and God bless America.
Right now, we have a special Veterans Day 2020 address from Lieutenant General Richard Zahner, U.S. Army retired.
Veterans Day 2020 offers each of us an opportunity amidst the tumult of pandemic-modified daily existence to recognize the singular contributions of groups of our fellow citizens to the defense of our republic and its people, its expressed ideals, values, goals, and institutions during times of both conflict and peace. On behalf of the Sedona Historical Society, my name is Richard Zahner. I am a soldier who retired after 36 years of active service with the rank of Lieutenant General. Veterans Day 2020 marks key milestones for Sedona, its veterans, and their families. Earlier this year, we celebrated the 75th anniversary of victory in Europe and in the Pacific, the 70th anniversary of the start of the Korean War, the 45th anniversary of the end of U.S. combat operations in Southeast Asia, and the 30th anniversary of both the completion of combat operations in Panama and the reunification of Germany, thus closure to the Cold War. Each speaks directly to a distinct cohort of Sedona and our nation's youth who served through times of tragedy and triumph, often in circumstances of extreme adversity that were no less complex and at least as consequential as today's challenge or any potential we might envision. As Americans, I believe we should focus on the paradigm of selfless service to our nation that is at the core of each veteran's experience, forming as it does the essential aspect of the health of our democracy. The free exercise of rights and liberties enshrined in the Declaration of Independence and Constitution are inherently tied to the responsibility to defend, make them more perfect in practice, and pass them on to the next generation with the understanding that freedom and democracy require the engaged care of a responsible citizenry. The alignment of Veterans Day with Armistice Day often muddles this important insight. Armistice Day, marked in Europe, across the British Commonwealth, and even Japan, reflects the cessation of hostilities on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, terminating a carnage that ended the lives of 17 million combatants and civilians and wiped away 4 empires and 2 kingdoms, at least one of which had its foundations in the early Middle Ages and another heir to the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. To this, add another 17 to 50 million or more lost to the most lethal influenza pandemic on record during the final stages of conflict and ensuing peace negotiations. Armistice Day thus marks an immense disruption of loss and self-sacrifice on almost an unimagined scale. For Americans, such loss and disruption on this magnitude is only found in the cataclysm of our Civil War, when 1 of 10 unenslaved males of military age died. In the wake of that conflict, Memorial Day came to mark remembrance of what President Lincoln termed that last full measure of devotion, of self-sacrifice by hundreds of thousands to preserve the Union and cure its original sin of slavery. Our observance of Veterans Day has been aligned with Armistice Day since its establishment in 1920. But our American experience is quite different from that of Europe. We came to that conflict with a mission, a set of goals and values to end war and establish representative democracies across vast swaths of the globe. We then discovered just how difficult achieving these goals would be, and the tectonic shocks generated by the Great War continue to shake the world order to this very day. This may seem infinitely remote to many today, but the last veteran of that conflict, a gentleman named Frank Buckles, died just 9 years ago at the age of 116. Two great totalitarian orthodoxies, the demarcation of the Middle East and the complex brew of nationalism and the demise of colonial empires. These are the legacies of the Great War that led to cohorts of our citizens following the path of Frank and his companions in an effort to defend our nation and promote the values and freedoms necessary to safeguard it in a vastly uncertain global environment. That mission continues to this very day, undertaken by a new generation of future veterans. Today, veterans of these defining conflicts and missions number just under 18 million, or about 7% of the adult U.S. population. 5 million have at least one disability, and 1.2 million live in poverty. We are not heroes, for that accolade rightly belongs to those we remember on Memorial Day, or those whose truly exceptional physical or moral courage merits special recognition. But we veterans have walked with the legions of these heroes in a shared comradeship. We are simply average Americans, reflecting the diversity and uniqueness of this nation, who accepted the obligations of service to sustain a democracy and to maintain the bonds of shared commitment with our fellow soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. We respectfully ask not for your thanks, but simply the recognition of selfless service, values, and the bonds of shared commitment by those who answered their nation's call, and to foster a similar commitment in today's citizenry to the values and goals expressed in our founding declaration and covenants, and to those concrete steps to sustain these goals. Thank you.
On behalf of the Sedona Heritage Museum and the City of Sedona, thank you for being with us here today. Let us always remember our veterans, those brave men and women who served our country, and those who are currently serving. Thank you.
God bless America, land that I love. Satisfy her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America.